Alright, so, um, main topic about in the news everywhere right now is France and what happened in France. Now, I know I know that what happened in France was very tragic and very bad, and it's good that people want to stand by France and help support them whenever they are in need because they supported us during 9/11 and whatever. But the only thing that really actually bugs me about it, and yeah, I know. Well, you get bugged by when terrorists attack, and all you can think about is something that annoys you. Like, wow, no. Like, the problem I have with it is that people only care about terrorism when the news tells them to, and that's what bugs me because terrorism is everywhere. It hasn't stopped. There was no like break in it. Like in the Middle East, they execute civilians every day. Like rows and rows of civilians shot in the head and killed every day because they're a different religion. And the news and everyone else just calls it religion wars when it's not. That's it's not a war when you have one party that doesn't fight back. That's that's not war. When you have military power that's controlling civilians and executing them, that is like that is sub definition of terrorism. It's not the exact definition because someone's gonna go on Urban Dictionary and be like, no, see, you're wrong here. This website, it actually says terrorism is inducing terror in somebody or the act of inducing terror. I know that. I know that. But what goes on there is definitely not religious war. Executing innocent people is not religious war. Just like executing innocent people in Paris and France is not religious war. That is terrorism. Whether it was in a different country or not, it is terrorism. And, people only want to support France because France was the one that took the hit and the news was like, "Hey guys, this happened. Feel bad." And you know, but like I said, people died in France. I'm not putting that out of the picture. Like people did die. Stuff happened. It's bad. It was bad. Like what the never mind about that. I'll but yeah, people died. It was bad. Nobody's saying that didn't happen. Well, actually, there are. People are already saying it's conspiracy. Oh, this girl was she was here in every single recent major disaster. Is she a paid government actor? I don't know. Terrorism. Be scared. Oh, but it's not like terrorism suddenly popped up in France and everyone was just like, "Whoa, dude, this is suddenly a problem." Um, no, it's always been a thing. It's always been there, but nobody pays attention to it because the news doesn't tell them to. And all this support, this insane amount of support for just this event that happened in France. Now again, I'm not disclaiming the fact that it was tragedy, but it wasn't as big as people want to think it was. Like 9/11 was huge. Like 3,000 some people died. That was a lot. Like in France though, I don't it's hard for me to estimate the size of a terrorist attack because then it makes it seem more insignificant to another when it's not. But it's basically saying it is. But that's not what I want to say. The thing that happened in France was much smaller, and everyone's already changing their picture to their Facebook picture to support France, and Skype is now supporting France, and everyone's supporting France, France, France. I don't understand why we don't just put France out of the picture for now. Okay, we can be sad about people dying. That's what we can be sad about. But put the fact that it was in France out of the picture. And how about we just put it on a global scale on the fact that terrorism is everywhere. Not just in France, not just in the Middle East. Terrorism happens everywhere. And not by like local terrorists or local militia, no. There are these terrorist factions that literally exist to push their religious beliefs on everyone with violence, with the harming of innocent people. That is what terrorists do, or that is what our terrorist problem happens to be focused around. I do not support France. I don't. And that's a very blatant thing to say right now, but I don't support France. I support the eradication of terrorism altogether. I support the eradication of killing innocent civilians everywhere, not just in France, but in the Middle East, but in anywhere else that civilians are being executed that nobody else knows about, that because the news doesn't tell them, oh hey, so in the Middle East, a sum of about 100 civilians were lined up and shot in the back of the head. Here's the graphic video. No, they don't do that because that would be too scary for people. People would start to actually want to, they would actually start to question, why is nobody doing anything about this? Like, what's going on? Because then people would be like, oh, it was a conspiracy just to go to war with them. People died so we could, just go ahead and go to war. France did the same thing Bush did. Bush did 9/11. People died so we could just go to war. I mean, okay, you could be a conspiracy theorist all you want, but you can't deny that people died in the US and it sparked a retaliation. Like, put all of that stupid conspiracy theory out of here and just think about, wow, terrorist attack, we did something. And then a whole span of like how many years? A lot. I don't care. Terrorist attack all through here. And nobody does a thing because everyone's like, oh, it's just religious wars. It's religious wars. They're killing because of religion. It's a religious war. It's a war. It's a one-sided war. It's a one-sided war where they execute civilians daily. That's war. That's a war for you. I know I keep circling back to the point of executing civilians daily because it happens. It's a thing. They do it. So like I said, I don't support France. I don't support France at all. I support being against terrorism. I can say though that I just lied actually. I support France's notion in immediately bombing the Islamic State capital in retaliation. That's called actually doing something about like people trying to be terrorists or people trying to induce terror. You have to let them know that they can't do that and get away with it. They're not allowed. That shouldn't be allowed. That shouldn't be allowed in this world. Why do we live in a world where we can just like brush off terrorism like, oh, it won't happen again. we're ready to show full support to whoever needs it. Now that this terrorist attack is over, we can support them, and you know, it's we're just gonna support the country that got hit by the terrorists. That's all we're here for. Um, that's all we need to do. Sorry, guys. We're just here for moral support. We're that's all. That's all. Like, at what point do we say we've had enough? We're done having people just murdered and their right to live, their human right to live taken away because they're doing the same thing that these ISIS people are doing and believing in religion. But, it's too much to ask. Thanks, though. Ugh, terrorist.